Life is so simple, and we have complicated it so much. The content of life might be complex, but life in itself is so simple. And there is so much beauty, so much magic, so much love and joy, even bliss, in the purity and simplicity of life. How is life working out for you? If you contemplate this question deeply, longly, honestly, how would you say your life is working out for you? Well, if I ask every individual human being, which is it that is the biggest, deepest desire of your life? Most people will definitely answer things like economical security, relationship with someone that loves me, to conquer my dream job, to have a vacation home somewhere the other side of the world, spending the life on vacations. Well, the amount of answers would be probably as numerous as there are different people on the planet. But the truth is that if we look at it again deeply and intensely and honestly, we will get to the conclusion that in reality all of us want exactly the same thing, in that we are all together. We give it different names. We call it well-being, satisfaction, realization, love, happiness. From now on, I will call it joy. What all of us want, in the end of the day, it is to be loving, to be happy, to be joyful, to be blissful, to be absolutely enraptured and in love with life. And if I pose another question and ask to each individual human being, if you think that you are happier and happy bigger part of the time when you were a child or right now, although there are some exceptions, of course, like with everything, most people, if they are honest, they would have to answer that they were happier and more time happy when they were children than nowadays. And notice how strange this is. Although the deepest desire of every human being, the desire that comes marked indelibly in his being since he is born, is happiness, is joy, even though that's our deepest, most powerful, irresistible desire, and in spite of the fact that since we were children we have grown, evolved. In theory we have become more intelligent, gathered more experience from life, more physical power. In spite we are more independent in a lot of levels, mainly physically. It looks like we are moving in the opposite direction of what we really deeply, mostly want. The direction of a bigger, deeper, more sustainable, intenser joy. What kind of dark magic is at play here? What is it that is going on? This is a question that every human being will pose himself also, whether be it because he feels so amazing already that he just wants to keep going and understand what's the possible peak, or even if there is a peak, to how joyful and happy one can feel, or be it because he has fallen so deep in darkness that he wants to get out at any cost. In any way, there is a time in the life of every human being, even if he ignores it afterwards, that he poses himself the question, how, if it is even possible, to become joyful. It is to answer this question that all endeavor in the recorded history of mankind has been done, be it in the domain of science, art, religion, philosophy. It is to answer this question experientially, practically, in a living way that we act, think, desire, and feel everything that we do, think, feel, and desire from the very moment in which we open our eyes in the morning up until we fall asleep at night, and many times even during our sleep, in our dreams. We are looking to answer to the question, how can I be happy? All of manifested life, everything we see around us, especially in this modern, so technological world, is the product of this endeavor of humanity. Unfortunately, it seems that something is escaping us. We cannot grasp it, because although we have never been so comfortable, at least in what we know of the recorded history of mankind, although we have never been so comfortable, we have never had so many distractions, technology, superficial outward possibilities, psychological and chronic physical disorders never have been so rampant, so prevalent among the world population. let's look at this so important question then. We have looked already at the fact that we were clearly in most of cases happier when we were children than what we are right now. So let's look at it. Why? What is it that was so different when we were children than the life that we have as adults? Well, if you remember your childhood and you observe children around you, you will see that if they have a ball between their hands, their whole minds, their whole hearts, all their physical and at that time mostly clumsy abilities, all their attention, all their consciousness, all their being is completely immersed, completely devoted. And I ask you, attention, please remember this word is the most important, the only important maybe. Devotion. They are completely devoted to that ball they have between their hands. If someone comes and takes the ball away from them, they might throw a tantrum for a couple of minutes, maybe a little bit more, it depends, but never for long. They still remember very clearly, at an instinctual level even, that their priority is to play, to feel good, and to learn how to play and feel good more and more and with more and more things, with higher and higher possibilities. So after their small tantrum, they will pay attention to their hands and start playing with their hands. One will be a monster, another one a superhero. How many of us haven't done that? As children, I know I've certainly did. And again, a child's whole mind, whole heart, whole body, whole being becomes completely immersed, completely devoted to their hands, to the play in hand. If again they are forbidden to play with their hands, another tantrum comes for a couple of minutes, and again they forget about it completely and throw their whole beings again to the next thing that life, that attention brings in front of them. Maybe they look at the sky and contemplate the clouds passing by. They hear the songs of the birds, the wind whispering between the leaves of the trees. But as a child starts to grow up, she comes in contact with many things in the world, unconsciously or unconsciously, voluntarily or involuntarily, most of the times unconsciously and involuntarily. She starts to create something that we call preferences. And these preferences, bunched up together, confused and mingled, constitute what we call ego, and sometimes even use as a badge of honor, proudly calling it personality and defending it with teeth and guns. At some point we started deciding that if I have a freshly icy, lemony Coke in my hand, life is very pleasant. But if I have to fast for 3 days to detox my body from some very toxic things that I've eaten, then life is a very difficult and miserable thing. We decided that if I'm on a beach somewhere drinking from a coconut, or even sitting in the couch drinking a beer and watching TV, life is amazing or at least very pleasant. But if I have to work 16, 18 hours a day, even if it's a dream job with which I've dreamed many years ago in my childhood, then life is very hard, very difficult, and I will feel very deep down the hole. We have started to decide that we will only feel okay if things happen as we want them to happen. And we will feel bad if anything happens as we do not want it to happen. We started creating attachments and aversions. This is a very silly thing. You see, this is a beautiful metaphor, and it has also very practical and methodological possibilities. The Hindus use the word indriyas. It can be roughly translated as tentacles or arms of consciousness, to, in a way, describe how this process and the process of experience and perception in life, the process of life, happen. We can look at a human being as being a field of consciousness, because deep down, if you look at yourself and at your life, that's what you really are. You have had a lot of different experiences and have changed the way you relate to the world along your life, but you have always had the same feeling: I am. This is me. Your body is changing, your mind is changing, your relationships, your emotions, your desires, but that inner, deep, essential experience of I am has always been the same, untouched. Let's call that your center of being, your field of consciousness, what you are, attention with intention or intention with attention. And so the way a human being works, we can look at it in many different ways, but this is a beautiful and very clear way, is that you extend pieces of yourself through the instruments of perception that the universe and evolution have given you as vehicles for life. And, for example, you extend a little bit of your consciousness, of your being, through your eyes. You touch an object and you see an image. If you extend a little bit of your consciousness, of yourself, a tentacle of consciousness, an arm of consciousness, through your ears, you hear a sound. If you extend a little bit of yourself through your mind, you grasp the idea or the concept of a phenomena in the world. If you extend a little bit of yourself through the heart, you feel the phenomena of the world. Well, when we are children, we extend joyfully, happily, although unconsciously, all our tentacles of consciousness, all our arms of being, all our energy, all ourselves, through as many and as intensely instruments of perception we can. We devote ourselves completely to what life brings us at any moment. If life takes it away, even if sometimes it takes a little bit of time, we eventually take back inside ourselves all our energy, all our tentacles of consciousness. And when life brings another phenomena, another happening, we again throw ourselves completely. We dive into, we devote all our energy, all our being to the next moment of life. Well, the process of gathering preferences that we already described happens because we start leaving little pieces of ourselves. We start attaching arms of consciousness bits of our energy to the things that we want to see repeated again in life because they were pleasant. And we start leaving also tiny bits of ourselves in trying to push away, to avoid the things that happen in life that were not so pleasant. And because we have done this innumerous times, most human beings walk around the world carrying a very heavy burden of all the preferences that they accumulated in such a way that they have no energy, no attention, no consciousness, no being left to direct, to involve, to dive into, to devote to the present moment, to whatever life is bringing. So we start forgetting that our priority, what we really want, the deepest, most ingrained desire of our heart, is to be joyful, is to play, and is to learn to be more joyful and to play in every time bigger and deeper possibilities with life. We change to prioritize the things that have been pleasant and unpleasant in our lives. We lose the ability to withdraw our whole being from what has passed and put it again in what comes in the next moment. Of course, having no energy to be, having no self left, having all our mind and emotions and desires and even physical energy stolen away, imprisoned in what is nowadays superficially called the subconscious, leave us no spare life to actually live. The solution is very simple, although it might not be easy, and it will be difficult only in the amount in which you resist to drop, forget, dissolve the weight that you yourself have accumulated. We know in psychology nowadays that it's very curious, but most people prefer the pain of something that they know than to give it a try to something that they do not know, but that holds the perspective of pleasantness, of joy, of elevating their lives. The amount to which we resist to drop our self-inflated egos, our toxic personalities, the heavy burden that we have conditioned ourselves to carry, will be directly proportional to how difficult we make this process for us. But in reality, it is very simple. And this is what the spiritual process is all about. It is to see, to acknowledge, and to make it a priority to change the direction of our lives from pursuing an external, material, infinitely away from ourselves carrot, to stop pursuing things in the material world to try to make us happy and finally understand that happiness, joy, well-being, calm, love, even bliss are inner states, are states of being. And then we can start to explore, cultivate, create, and even manifest those states of being. It's all about starting to see, accept, and let go all of these compulsions, preferences, all of these prisons in which we have put our energies in. It's all about seeing, accepting, and letting go the burden that we have accumulated. Naturally, every string of energy that we loosen or we dissolve in this way will come back to our center of being, will come back to the heart, to the consciousness, to the being, and will be naturally available for you to dedicate, to devote completely, totally, intensely, and deeply to any and every one of the marvels, continuous, absolutely magical marvels that life brings you every single moment. We would like to help you find some of the most powerful, effective methods that we have discovered to accelerate this process as much as you can, so you can finally become empowered to first feel inside as you deeply and unavoidably want to feel, and then afterwards you can go about the world sharing that calm, that joy, that love, that bliss, creating, manifesting, and working for the good of yourself, the good of every being, and the good of the universe. Welcome to the way of the heart.